We all do it. That sudden, explosive, sometimes kind of awkward reflex we call a sneeze. But have you ever really thought about what's going on inside your body when you achoo? Well, today, we are diving deep into the incredible science behind the sneeze.
So let's just start with this question, because that's really what we're talking about here. What happens when you try to bottle up a 100-mile-per-hour explosion that's happening inside you? It's a pretty intense way to think about it, right?
I mean, on the surface, a sneeze seems so simple. You get a little tickle in your nose, a big achoo, and that's it. It's over. But trust me, behind that simple reflex is an amazingly powerful and complex biological process. It is way more than just a little annoyance.
To really wrap our heads around this, we've got to start with the physics of it all. The amount of power your body generates in that split second, it's basically a force of nature.
Get this. When you sneeze, the little droplets flying out of your nose can reach speeds of up to 100 miles per hour. Let that sink in for a second. That is literally highway speed coming out of your face.
And it's not just about the speed, it's the sheer quantity. A single sneeze can launch up to 40,000 tiny little virus-filled droplets into the air. It's like a biological spray cannon, which, is exactly why covering your mouth is so important.
But the real secret to all that power? It's the pressure. When you're breathing hard, say during exercise, the pressure in your windpipe is a tiny 0.03 psi. But during a sneeze, it spikes all the way up to 1 psi. That's more than 30 times the pressure, and that's the force you're trying to bottle up when you hold a sneeze in.
So, why on earth would our bodies create this much force? Well, it's not a bug, it's a feature. This is your body's built-in, high-powered defense system doing its job.
At its heart, a sneeze is just your body's first line of defense. Its main job is to violently kick out anything that doesn't belong in your nose. We're talking dust, pollen, germs, whatever. Some scientists even call it a biological reset button for your whole nasal environment.
And this all happens on a super fast-track neural highway. So first, some irritant hits the special sneeze neurons in your nose. Then, a signal zips down your trigeminal nerve to a part of your brainstem called the sneeze-evoking zone. Next, your body takes a huge deep breath to load up on air. And finally, bam! Your diaphragm and chest muscles just contract like crazy, and you get that explosive release. The whole thing is completely involuntary.
Okay, so we've got it. The sneeze is powerful, it's protective, and it's involuntary. So, that brings us to the big question. What actually happens when you try to fight this unstoppable force?
You know the situation. You're in a dead silent room, you feel that tickle coming on, and you do the classic nose pinch mouth clamp maneuver. You're trying to contain that 100-mile-per-hour explosion. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, a lot, it turns out. Holding in a sneeze doesn't make the pressure just disappear. It has to go somewhere. And what happens is that the pressure inside your entire respiratory system can shoot up to between 5 and 24 times that of a normal sneeze. That is a huge amount of force to redirect. And yeah, that trapped pressure has to find an escape hatch. Since it can't get out your nose or mouth, it starts looking for other ways out, inside your head and your chest. And that's where things can get really, really dangerous.
One of the most common places for that pressure to go is up the eustachian tubes. Those are the little tubes connecting your throat to your middle ears. If you force that much pressurized air into them, it can be enough to actually rupture an eardrum. Ouch.
There's even a crazy documented case of a 34-year-old guy who tried to stifle a big sneeze by clamping his mouth shut and pinching his nose. He felt a pop in his neck, and suddenly he was in terrible pain and could barely speak or swallow. Turns out he had literally torn a hole in the back of his throat.
Okay, now this one is extremely rare, but it's the most serious risk. If someone has a pre-existing weak spot in a blood vessel in their brain, an aneurysm, that massive sudden spike in pressure from holding in a sneeze could, potentially, cause it to rupture. And that is a life-threatening emergency.
So let's just run through the potential damage report again. We're talking ruptured eardrums, throat damage, damaged blood vessels in your eyes, and in very rare cases, things like broken ribs or even a ruptured brain aneurysm. The risk might be low, but the consequences, they're pretty severe.
All right, that was all a bit intense, I know. But the point isn't to scare you, it's to help you understand what's going on. So, what is the smart way to handle a sneeze when it shows up at the worst possible time? Let's look at the safe options.
Honestly, the best thing to do is just let it happen. Sneezing is totally normal. The real key isn't to stop it, but to just be polite and hygienic about it. Cover your mouth. But if you absolutely feel like you have to stop one before it happens, there are a few little tricks that might work without building up all that dangerous pressure. You could try tickling the roof of your mouth with your tongue, or maybe gently pinching the bridge of your nose. Sometimes just blowing your nose is enough to get rid of whatever was irritating it. And, of course, the best defense is a good offense. Know your triggers and try to avoid them.
So in the end, it really comes down to this. Your body has designed and perfected this incredible, high-speed defense system just to protect you. It's powerful, it's precise, and it's essential. Knowing what we know now about its force and its purpose, the real question is, why would you ever want to get in its way? My advice? Just let it go.